This is the first statement God makes concerning business, and every person in business success are following them. Matter of fact, this is the verse that Bill Gates is using. Stephen Jobs is using this for Apple computers. iPods are using this. iPhone is using this verse. God said to man, be fruitful. What's the first command? Be fruitful. Second command, multiply. Third command, replenish. Fourth command, subdue. Fifth command, have dominion. Now notice it says over fish, over birds, over fowl, over living things in the creation. Okay, but he gives this man five simple instructions, and then God left him. God gave man a business strategy. Now the verse before this is verse 27, right? So God created man, etc. The verse before that is verse 26, right? And that's when God says what? Have dominion. So God tells man in 26 have dominion. In 28 he tells him a strategy on how to have dominion. He didn't leave him without the strategy. He says, here's how you dominate. Look at it carefully. He says, be fruitful, you multiply, you replenish, you subdue, and then you'll have dominion. You say it again. Be fruitful, you multiply, you replenish, you subdue, then you'll have dominion. First he said have dominion. Then he says, now let me tell you how. First you got to be fruitful, then you got to multiply, then you got to replenish, then you got to subdue, and then you'll have dominion. Who dominates golf? Who dominates Big Mac? Who dominates chicken? Kentucky Fried Chicken. Isn't that amazing? These people dominate these areas. Who dominates Whopper? It's amazing that I can call a name of a product and it controls the whole area. Don't get me wrong. This is not complicated. So there's a picture of my man. The 4 laws of business. Number 1, be fruitful. Okay, this is where business begins. The word fruitful in Hebrew means productive. It doesn't mean to have children. I was shocked when I discovered that. The first command God gave man was what? Be productive. In other words, produce something. Oh man, I wish I could talk to you for a couple more hours about this. Say it. Be productive. Stop saying fruitful because you're thinking about babies. Tell your neighbor, be productive. No, say it this way. Produce something that I could buy. That's the first command. Now, here's something important to remember. The first command is to be what? Fruitful. The first command should have been be seedful, because fruit is a result of seed. You can't have fruit unless you have a seed that has a tree that bears fruit. God ignores the entire first step. Look at me, man. Just get deep now. God said, look, I even ain't gonna talk about seed. Oh, you still ain't got it. Listen, when God demands something from you, it exists. So the demand for fruit is a presumption. Some of you are getting it, that there is seed somewhere. The number one reason why there's poverty in North Tulsa is not because of a lack of investors coming in, but a lack of productivity inside. you know how you measure? Listen. Here's how you measure a nation's wealth. Listen carefully. A nation's wealth is measured by 3 letters. All nations. Gross national productivity. In other words, if the nation ain't producing, they call it poor in the UN. Money doesn't make you rich. Productivity does. That's why China is one of the biggest threats right now. Even though they may be poor, they are producing. What do most people in the North Tulsa do? Consume. All right now. You keep going to the bank to borrow money to buy stuff that isn't productive. I mean, if you're going to buy a vehicle, buy a truck so you can become one who collects garbage to produce a business. Don't buy a car to drive around in. That ain't productive. All right now, I'm talking. The command presumes that seed exists in you right now. Oh, I need to spend a week just come on business, you see, because business is deep, see. I'm serious about it. You have a business week. See, because you are sitting here on a gold mine, you can't even find the gold. You don't know what your seed is yet. There's a seed. That's your business. And God says, show me the fruit of it. Produce something. Now, when you produce a product, watch God's strategy now. Let's say, okay, Apple computer. You all remember that Stephen Jobs dropped out of school. You know that. He quit college too. Most successful people quit college. I hope you know that. I almost did. You know, my mom kept me in. That's know why she kept me in. But anyhow. Stephen Jobs quit school because he had an idea. Everybody say idea. That's your seed. Your seed is the idea that won't quit. This guy had an idea. He went to visit a plant to see a computer. Stephen Jobs is an interesting guy. Young fella in college. And he went and he saw this computer, and the computer was big as half of this room. He looked at it, he says, why can't they reduce that to the size of a desk? And he walked out. And he kept seeing visions of that great massive computer the size of a room on a desk. I wonder what you see that won't leave you alone. Write this down. Every problem is a business. I'll say it again. Every problem is a business. One man see bare feet, that's a problem. The other one see a shoe company, that's a business. One man see a hog island, that's a problem. Another man sees a resort, that's a business. Produce your seed, produce your fruit. And then the second command, multiply. You know, when you produce a product, then you got to reproduce it. If you cannot reproduce what you've produced, you're going to be poor. One of the keys of successful business is being able to reproduce your product 1,000,000 times more. Any good company that wants to succeed must be able to follow God's second command, to multiply. So that's why when you want to, you see, there was only one Burger King years ago, one restaurant that sold one Burger King. They refined, everybody say refined, they produced a fruit. Now everybody makes burgers, but they produce a unique burger called a Whopper. Come on somebody. Now you make burgers at home, don't you? But when you want a Whopper, you go straight to Burger King. Even though you got the same bread and beef and all this stuff, you still why? Because they refined it. Everybody say refined it. I'm talking about. See, you got to take your seed and produce a fruit, and you refine it first. If you're going to be a cosmetologist, you still ain't going to be wealthy. Because anybody can be a cosmetologist. You got to find what kind of cosmetologist you will be. What are you going to specialize in? Everybody sells burgers, but no one sells a Whopper. What's your Whopper? That's the question. Now watch Burger King. Burger King then takes this Whopper sandwich that they refined, and they developed a system, everybody says system, to reproduce the same Whopper every time. So when I went to Mexico one day, we went to Burger King, the same Whopper came out in Mexico. We went down to Venezuela, Burger King, the same Whopper. We were in Ukraine, in Russia, the same one. I said, how can the same Whopper be in every country? Because they reproduce. iPod. They only developed one prototype, one prototype. And they kept testing it and testing it. One prototype. And when they got that one prototype down to a science, that's the fruit. Then they said, okay, now let's assembly line. And they start multiplying. What you cannot multiply, you can never succeed in. My message is my fruit. Leadership, kingdom, purpose. They're my fruit. Now I got to put them in a form where they can be multiplied. So now I got to shift into books and CDs and DVDs and they're in 25 different languages. I got to multiply. Same message. If you want a Big Mac, you can never get it from Burger King. Because Big Mac is McDonald's fruit. And they keep reproducing it. God's third command, replenish, is a big one. If you're going to be successful in business, you got to be able to distribute your product. You got to develop a distribution system. You know, Nations Bank, they sat down in their headquarters somewhere in New York and had a long meeting one night and said, you know something, let's reproduce ourselves in 50 states. So we got to develop what? A system. So when you walk into the bank, everything is in the same place. Okay? Walden, bless his heart, had one store. He said, okay, I got my fruit. I got a store where you can actually come in and get wholesale prices, man. The guy had one store. That's number one. Number two, he decided, I want to follow God's second command. I want to multiply. So he created a system to reproduce Walmarts all over the world. Number three, he said, I'm going to distribute my products to those stores. Walmart got his own distribution system. What about yours? God's fourth command, business, subdue. Subdue means you control the market. To subdue means to control. If you do not control your market, you will die poor. Simple, isn't it? Bill Gates was so successful in following God's commands that Congress had to call him in. Remember? He was so dominating in the market. They said, you got to break up your company. We can't have you controlling the whole world like this. Why? He subdued the market. If you wanted anything to do with software and computers, got to come through Microsoft. Can I put it another way? Subdue means when anybody wants a product like yours, you're the first one they think about. Subdue. So Ford Motor Company says we're going to subdue the truck market. So they focus on trucks. Mercedes said we're going to focus on luxury cars. Lexus say we're going to be focusing on quietness. Everybody got their little unique burger, see? What's yours? Listen, stop going into just shoe business. You're going to lose. Everybody's selling shoes. You got to find a unique kind of shoe. In other words, I'm only going to sell shoes for babies. Now you got your niche. You got your whopper. Stop selling shoes for everybody. You're confusing the market. I only sell shoes for teenagers. You got your whopper. Now you got to reproduce that every time. Open 4 stores. Then you got to distribute. Make sure that you can get the shoes in every store on time. Then you have to control the market. If you want shoes for teenagers, you got to come to me. I got the most current. I got the widest variety. This is where you come. That's business. By the way, this applies, you know, I'm not in a pastor's conference, but I teach the pastors too. Your church got to follow this. Your church got to have a unique fruit that makes it different from every other church. But everybody clapping and singing. You better have something that is so different, and then when you open another branch, you can reproduce the same spirit. God says, subdue. Oprah Winfrey, boy, she did a good job. She packaged her seed, reproduced it in her shows, distributed in every available media company wants a show. Same show. I said same show. She don't have 5 shows. She refined that 1 hour. That's her fruit. And then she multiplies it. They produce 1 million different copies of that tape. And then she distributes it to all those media houses. And then she subdues the talk show day. She controls it. And now we leave to number 5. She dominates. Microsoft dominates. iPod, Stephen Jobs dominate. What are you going to dominate? T.D. Jakes called me up one day. He says, Myles, I'm about to have a leadership conference on a cruise. And the first person that came to my mind was you. That's when you know you are dominating in the field. Is when your name comes to mind first. If someone says, let's eat a Whopper today, you ain't got to decide where you're going anymore. Is there something that you have produced that makes us find you? That's your business. Close with this, and then I'll come back next week. There's my girl Oprah. Little abandoned girl abused by her parents. All she had was what? Idea. So how do you be successful? Seeds of greatness. Write this down. Everyone possesses seeds of greatness. Say it out loud. Number 2, your seed is your purpose and passion. Say it. Your seed is your purpose and passion. Number 3, your seed contains your future. Say it. Number 4, in every seed there's a forest. Say it. Number 5, your seed is the ideas that won't go away. Say it. Number 5, your seed determines your natural talents. And number 6, I love this one. The world needs your seed. But the world doesn't eat seeds. There's your dilemma. The world eats fruit. So God says, produce something. And finally, your seed is your business. The kingdom of God thinks so simple. You got a seed, produce the fruit, multiply it, distribute it, and dominate it. There's room for you in the world. Source of business, number 1. You were born to solve a problem. Say it. This is how you become great. You know, you got to think like this. Number 2, you are God's response to a need He created. Say it. I am God's response to a need He created. Number 3, you are the answer to a question God knew would be asked in your generation. Say it. I am the answer to a question God knew would be asked in my generation. What a loud scream from the Holy Spirit. Number 4, you are the fulfillment of one of God's desires. Say it. I am the fulfillment of one of God's desires. There's something God desired that made you necessary. Number 5, you are an assignment your generation needs to experience. Say it. I am an assignment my generation needs to experience. We're waiting for you. And number 6, you are necessary. Say it. I am necessary. Say it again. I am necessary. One more time. I am necessary. You should take this list, put it on your children's wall, and let them repeat it every morning. If they get this, you won't be able to stop them from succeeding. Business is finding your seed, making it a fruit, multiplying it. I have much more to say to you, but we're going to go because I need to go too. Listen to me. I was asked a question years ago. The question was, how do you become successful? My answer goes like this. You might want to write this down. If you want to be a success, do not seek success. Seek to become a person of value. That's it. Repeat. If you want to be a success, do not seek success. seek to become a person of value. How do you become a person of value? Simple. Refine your gift to the point where the world needs it. I think any of you who have studied economics knows this, that money follows value. Wealth follows what? Value. So don't go after money, just become valuable. They'll find you. So you got to develop yourself and refine your gift so well that they come look for you and they pay you to be yourself. I was talking to my secretary this morning. I told her, I said, I'm so tired of all the demands. She said, yeah, you need a break. She yesterday told me I have 987 invitations for 2008. 987 invitations around the world for a year that hasn't begun yet. Make yourself a person of value, and they look for you. Let's pray. Lord, for every business sitting in the chairs here, may they be ignited. Germinate every seed. Let this be the conference where the seed becomes a tree. And Father, I pray that when I come back to this city, or visit the cities represented here, that there will be stories coming out saying, look at my Tom McCann shoes, look at my Paradise Island, and look at what God has done with my seed that has become a fruit. I give you thanks now that the businesses in this church and in this city would emerge. Because our fruit is not for us, it's to feed the world. We are servant leaders. Thank you again for this great conference. We give you praise. So be it. Mount Airy, New Jersey. I was in a packed room, bigger than this, packed to the walls. And the main speaker, they said, speak on potential and business. I said, sure. And I spoke that night on discovering your seed, finding your gift, and developing it, and multiplying it. And a lady came to me afterwards, met me at the book table, and I was autographing book. She said, Dr. Munroe, I got the message. I said, fine, ma'am. She's kind of old lady, you know, with clothes, kind of old, hitched up. And she said, I work in a hotel. I make beds. I said, that's great. She said, but tonight I heard you. I got it. I heard you. I heard you. I got a seed. Tomorrow, Dr. Munroe, I'm going to bring you my fruit. I said, okay. So the next night, limousine pulled up. I jumped out. Some of the aged bodyguards there were at the door, and this lady was standing in the crowd. People who knew me wanted to shake my hand, and I saw this lady, and she had this paper bag in her hand. She says, Dr. Munroe, here's the fruit that you talked about last night. This is my fruit. And she gave me this brown paper bag, greasy paper bag. I like grease, so I took it. And I gave it to my aide, and we went into the meeting, had the meeting that night, and did the second session on maximizing your business. I went back to the hotel room, opened that bag. I was tired, took my clothes off, and picked up the bag, and in that bag was 6 cookies. I'm thinking, okay, cookies. I got 1,000,000 cookies. I took one bite of those cookies. I don't want to tell you how I felt, because you wouldn't accept it. But I tell you what, I had an experience. My toes curled up. Everything, my whole body had spasms everywhere. I was like, yeah. Yamaha, Hushama. Hey, who is this woman? I took another bite. The whole room began to spin. I'm like, oh God. There was stuff in that cookie that even God didn't make yet. She had it perfect. And before I went to bed, there was one left. My guilt was not upon me. I didn't care. It was that good. I went back to the final session. I said, I want to find the lady. Who's the cookie lady? And she's in the back there, said, me, Dr. Munroe? I said, bring that lady up here. She came up forward. I said, lady, I don't know what you put in them cookies, but let me tell you something. You found your fruit. And I told them that night before I left, listen carefully, what you do with your fruit when you first develop it, I said, give it away free. Volunteer your fruit away. Please remember that. You give it away free. So I left Mount Airy, and 12 months to the date, I was invited back to be the same speaker at this massive conference again. I came there to speak. They wanted session number 2 on business and potential. Place was packed. I'm excited. I mounted the stage, began to speak, and everything was exciting. The second night, we pulled up. Limousine opened the door, the bodyguard standing there, and this crowd of people were standing there to get books autographed and to shake my hand. And there was this lady in a nice hat, this pink hat, man, with black stuff on it, and she had on this nice suit with black buttons and trimming, a pink suit with black. Whoa, she looked like a queen. And she had this bag in her hand, and this lady began to say, Dr. Munroe, Dr. Munroe. And they were holding her back. And I said, let that lady through, whoever she is. She had looked nice, and she bought this bag. She says, I bought this bag for you, sir. I said, thank you, ma'am. She said, don't you remember me? I said, no, I don't know who she was. She says, you don't? I said, no. She said, I'm the cookie lady. I said, stop it. Man, she was shocked. That cried out. I said, what happened to you? She said, you won't believe it. She said, I brought you my bag, specially just for you. I opened the bag, and there were these boxes of neatly packaged cookies with nice design and everything. And she said, my cookies are being distributed to all the major stores in the city. I employ 258 people. She said, and my company's already hit $3 million. She said, all because of you. She says, and therefore I want to give you something. And she ran in the purse and bought out this envelope. She said, this is just a token of my gratitude to you. Thank you so much. I'm just a cookie lady, that's all. Multi-millionaire in 3 years. Just a cookie lady. I went back to my hotel room with my bag of cookies. Oh Lord, now. Jesus. I couldn't wait to get into them boxes. I gotta feel that experience again. It was almost like, you know, hey. Decided to open the envelope. There was a check, personal gift, $10,000. I said, Lord, give me a few more cookie ladies. Mount Airy, New Jersey. Today her cookies are in all the major stores. She's now being chauffeured, full of the Holy Ghost, sleeping on a seed, working in a hotel because no one told her that she was carrying her seed. I pray when I come back to Tulsa, you will have your pink bag and I want to see your cookies. Thank you very much. God bless.